Well, good morning. Another lovely morning. In my little disc tour about the big disc frame, there's two interesting stories that originate in this area. They're still very relevant to the story, as relevant then as what they were. Morning. That is Mrs. Knight and Mr. Watkinson, former postie. Yeah, sharing yesterday about 55 Victoria Road Dis, opposite Victoria Road Post Office, was never 25 Cromwell Street. No bodies bricked into the walls, under the floors, or buried in the garden. But this is a relevant example how stories can start and spread. Well, I was at 55 Victoria Road and I got a phone call one day from Angela Woodley, and she couldn't talk about what she wanted to say over the phone. Could I go up and see her? So I went up to Bloomfield Road. She lived by the swings, and she said basically that Gavin, who was staying with me, she wanted him to keep away from her daughter Michelle. And Gavin was 17, Michelle was 16. So I said, well, funny enough, so me and Gavin actually walked past here yesterday from Uplands Way. We cut through Bloomfield Road, and Michelle leant out the window and asked Gavin to meet her there last night at midnight so they could talk, because obviously you'd grounded her and wouldn't let her out to be with Gavin. So if you want Gavin to not come up here, then you are going to have a talk to Michelle, you know, about encouraging Gavin to come up here. So now she said, right, I'll sort this out. Angela Woodley flew upstairs to confront Michelle, and Michelle's not there. So now she's run away with Gavin in the night, and she's now beside herself. So I said, well, you're going to have to put her out as missing to the police, and I'll go and see what I can find out. So I went down to town, saw some of the lads, have you seen Gavin? And the story was that he'd bought a field car for £30 that was parked over there on that field where the horses now are. And him and Michelle were going to run away to London in it. And so it was only a field car, only got one seat in it. So I came down here, and there they were asleep in the car, fully clothed. Woke them up and said, Gavin, there's no way you're driving this car to London. You know, and said, Michelle, you're 16, if you want to do this in a couple of years' time, fine, but don't. It's not the right thing to do now. And I said, your mum's really worried about you, and just wouldn't be a smart move. And I said, Gavin, you really do need to lose yourself now, because Michelle has been put out as missing to the police, and the police really did not like Gavin one bit, so they'd use any excuse to lock him up. So I had a chat with him, talked him out of it, and Michelle said, oh, my mum will kill me. I said, no, she won't. I said, let's go to mine, I'll give your mum a call, so we weren't mobile phones in. And my house is only just, Victoria Road is only just up the road round the corner there. So she agreed. So Gavin lost himself and I walked round to my house and I phoned her mum, Angela Woodley, who couldn't thank me enough. And I said, just let the police know that she's here, and they can come and pick her up. So I put a kettle on, made a cup of tea. We had a few sips of a cup of tea, and then the policewoman were at the door. So I said, come on in, and but they wanted to arrest me. So I'm saying, you're having a laugh. There is no way. If you try and put handcuffs on me, I will resist, because there's no way. I said, everyone has just seen me walking here with a 16-year-old girl, and if I go out of here in handcuffs, there'll be a riot down here. They will lynch me. So I tried to explain the part that I'd had. No, you got to do this at this police station. I said, no, there's no way I can come walking out of this house in handcuffs. Yeah, so they made a few radio calls, and then eventually they left. But people had seen me walk in to my house with a 16-year-old girl, and then had obviously seen the police arrive. So sure enough, the big stories did spin round this. Johnny Botwright was having sex with a 16-year-old or young girl. Police raided his house, and that was just how, with the post office, just how stories, could start and spin around this, and then more death threats and phone calls and so forth from all the boxes around this. And then what was also interesting, because it was interesting, Lloyd Long, as I said, he could spread more crap than this sewerage works. He left Victoria Road Post Office, and he went, and now he's taken over by Stuart. Now Stuart was an ex-police officer, and he's a really nice guy. And he'd come Yorkshire man, straight talking Yorkshireman. And he knew what it was to be hated and despised in a community, because he was a police officer. He'd left Yorkshire because of after the miners' strikes, and he was really despised and hated in this community because he was a police officer. He didn't agree with how the Met had conducted himself in Yorkshire, so he left the police force. And he came down here to run Victoria Road Post Office. But he knew what it was to be hated and ostracised and all the rest, because that's what he had experienced, in his own community in Yorkshire, just for being a policeman. And not every policeman has some really good, police officers around. So, and the police, obviously, this police had asked him to spy on me and so forth, and but he was always good enough to put me in the picture as to what was going around. Now, Michelle Woodley, she did become pregnant, and her son is about the same age as Reuben, my son. People were saying that was mine, which was never the case. And then she had a younger sister, Julia Woodley. Now, my partner, said to Julia Woodley, who was pregnant, she could come round and do some cleaning and all that, some light work, and Julie would pay her, help her get some things, for the baby. And I was in Victoria Road Post Office talking to Stuart, and Julia Woodley walked out of my home just across the road, 8 months pregnant. I say nothing to do with me, that was an arrangement between my partner and her to do some cleaning when she was like 6 months to 8 months pregnant, to earn some money. So Stuart said, he said, look, we both looked over there, he said, yeah, everyone's saying that's yours, Johnny. I said, it has nothing to do with me. I said, that's Scott's. He went, Scott? I said, yeah, who's now going out with your daughter, Naomi. So, the poor guy looked like he'd been hit by a freight train, because Scott Pearson, bless him, and we lost him not too long back with sepsis. He crossed over, bless his heart, but Scott used to come around a lot. And so said, yeah, it's definitely nothing to do with me. And that was just how stories, dust cart crews, used to spread more rubbish around this, obviously, than they did collect around this. Big council spies and informers too. And then the other thing that was also, the post office, we did have someone who was setting fire to haystacks all around this area, and John Leader, who was head of crime prevention in this, big mason, owned the nunnery. Near his house over at Rushall, there was a big haystack went up, and there were several around this, big haystacks, straw stacks. Now, everyone was saying that was me, that I was the serial fire starter as well as the serial killer, which on both accounts was absolutely not the case, not true, and absolutely nothing to do with me. And then we also had the post office saying that I'd sent hoax bombs to this post office. This was also posted on Facebook and so forth, big stories that went around the town. Again, categorically, absolutely nothing, God is my witness, absolutely nothing to do with me. But I was the big fire starter, the big serial killer, serial fire starter, hoax bomb sender. And it was just how stories, they're totally innocent, totally above board, and they can be twisted out of all context, all proportion, and then delivered all around this by Royal Mail. And that's why when we sprayed up the town, this post office got the biggest black said, because they were the real carrier, this big black virus. They were the real super spreaders, the real carriers, delivering it all around this and to all the surrounding villages. So that's just worth adding to my story. Now the other story was that I had a lovely dog, Muttley. He was a beautiful collie. He was crossed between a border collie and a long haired collie, and he had just such a beautiful temperament, lovely with children. And I'd walked him on the field over there where the horses are, and sometimes we'd come down here, and sometimes, obviously there weren't a gate there, they'd sit here and I'd go, come on out, and they'd bolt over there, Blaze and Muttley would go charging over on the fields, and we'd walk over there too. But on this particular day I had Gavin's dog with me too, Papa D, he was a lurcher, and Blaze. So I had two dogs leaded up, and Muttley, I say, absolutely beautiful dog, he used to go everywhere with me, really was a lovely collie. So I'm walking down here in this direction, Muttley's behind me, and I say, come on Muttley. But when he hears come on, he thinks that we're going over there. He thinks I've given him the command to cross the road. So I've got two on a lead. I normally had him and Blaze on a lead, but on this day he's walking behind me because I've got Papa D and Blaze on a lead. And he goes to go across, and I just hear a bang behind me, and I watch him go down the road here underneath a metro. And just up there, a couple of 100 metres, literally the metro dragged him all the way down the road under the car, and then he spun out from underneath the car. And, driver stopped, so I had to speak to him, got hold of Muttley, who looked at me and died in my arms. And that was like losing a son, could even say. So part of the family, such a beautiful dog, absolutely man's best friend. And that was a real loss. I mean, I was really cut up about that. You just take things for granted. You don't have a dog on a lead, the dog's gonna be okay. And should have had him on a lead, but that's just a very expensive lesson I learned. But losing him again, as I was sharing yesterday, the unexpected when you least expect it, and you can, and then also, as I touched on yesterday and in the past, is when you got big monster lies, it's not just the post office. They were spread far and wide, around this, and plenty of players. Death threats of a price on my frame fixed head, and a big surprise I won't see coming. But monster lies will get you killed, can get you killed. And just like Muttley here, took a big hit, the unexpected when you least expect it. That can be the outcome, the chain reaction from monster lies that have been spread, and people setting you up, people paying other people to do their dirty work. That's the situation you have to avoid. Anyhow, God bless, keep safe, and we'll speak again soon. God bless, bye.